If you are putting in the time and money, the enormous effort to create brilliant virtual realities and fill them with vibrant creatures, why hide it behind an excess of unnecessary indicators floating in an unexplainable hyperspace between the player and the game world, rather than letting the creation speak for itself? Heads-up display, or as an acronym, HUD, means the information superimposed on the screen that exists for the player's convenience and is not part of the fictional universe of the game itself. It usually contains the imaginary health points or magic points that cannot be seen or even comprehended by the avatar in the game, but also the more tangible items and ammunition perceived also by the avatar. These HUD elements can be taken for granted to default, leading to having too much needless indicators that become distractions, taking the attention away from the game world and its inhabitants. So if the HUD shows something that is already visibly clear in gameplay, maybe we can start cleaning the screen by removing those. Like, what even is that thing? What is it? It surely must be something pretty important. How about giving me more reason to pay attention to the characters and their surroundings, not less? As in many areas of game design, Breath of the Wild sets an example in this as well. There is the normal default display, containing health, loadout, Sheikah sensor, temperature, sound level, weather forecast and minimap. Turning on the Pro version of the HUD gets rid of everything but the health, because all the necessary information is already given without them. The loadout is clearly visible on Link and easy to check and switch in quick menus. Sheikah sensor makes accelerating beeps when closing the target. Temperature is seen by Link's behavior, and crossing the threshold from one extreme to another is clearly visualized. The amount of sound you make can easily be heard, or if it's difficult for you to hear, it's as difficult to hear for the enemies. The weather conditions are obvious without something pointing them out to you. And finally, the minimap is just pointless in a world with such a clear and far-reaching visibility on all the most important landmarks. The worst cases are the ones where you are compelled to stare more of the map and its icons than the game. And in combat you have the most important information in the HUD, yelling for attention away from the action itself. I think I'm going to puke on the screen. Resident Evil 4 has only one HUD element, containing only two crucial indications: health and ammo. It's clean in design, appropriate in style, and it takes too much space. Easy to fix with just one bar and a number. But you know which game series had been doing just fine, if not better, without any HUD elements whatsoever? Resident Evil. Going together with the uninterrupted cinematic style of the gameplay, Resident Evil keeps the screen clear by including all the essential information in the inventory. If there is no getting rid of the inclusion of inventory, why not use it to its fullest, without mixing it together with the game view? This design decision leads to more creative ways of indication. From the sequel on, the characters started limping according to the status of their health. So rather than being an imaginary metric system of health, it became visible expression of the character's actual condition, causing more care for and connection to the now humanized avatar. Breath of the Wild could have also been taken to the extreme by removing also the health indicator and improving on Link's age-old custom of blinking red when in need of immediate medical attention. The stamina wheel could have also been substituted with making Link more clearly sweat and pant increasingly to an exhaustion. If the intent of a game requires visible indications, let's have them in-game rather than on top of it. Maybe it's the behavior, color or pose of the character. Or maybe it's the equipment. Dead Space has a very traditional HUD with all the usual indicators. But it doesn't float in the air, it's part of the gear. Health and stasis on the back, ammo on the guns, modules on the arm. Even the increasing defense level of the character is the visible amount of protective plates on the rig. And these are not even the most innovative part of the design. It's the inventory. Usually a detached menu, now an attached hologram. Believable part of the fiction. Mechanical world building. More scientifically, this is known as diegesis, incorporating storytelling elements inside the story as part of it. Diegetic elements are the ones perceived inside the fictional world by the fictional characters. Classical example being soundtrack that is played inside the game universe versus soundtrack that is an outer layer perceived only by the player. Non-diegetic. Dead Space took the basic non-diegetic system of management from Resident Evil 4 and enhanced it into something more immersive, truly diegetic. As long as you don't stop to wonder how is Isaac supposed to keep track on his status displayed on his back. There are lots of diegetic examples where the heads-up display actually contributes to the immersivity of a game. Fallout introduced a wrist module as an inventory, but confusingly it also holds on to the non-diegetic HUD outside of it. At its best, this could work like the inventory in Resident Evil, including all the status information on one screen apart from the gameplay, only now being part of the game and accessible inside the gameplay without interruption. If only there was just one perfect example. The HUD in Metroid Prime is sensible vital data on the visor screen. It's a typical display and it's on top of the screen, but this time there actually is a screen not only in front of the player, but also in front of the character. And where Dead Space still asked us to believe in a measurable health easily restored by medication, in Metroid Prime it's the energy level of the suit. The only barrier between you and an alien environment. Losing power means death. The inventory in Dead Space is still a conventional magic pocket with no bottom, like with The Legend of Zelda. But instead of multiple weapons, Metroid Prime has configurations. And instead of ammunition, we have a limited supply of energy to form destructive beams. Like every video game ever should, Metroid Prime gives an option to reduce the HUD or completely turn it off. But because it is so well designed to be an integral part of the illusion of being inside the suit of Samus Aran, there is not a single reason to ever turn it off. The overall experience is richer with it and lesser without. And that is something we could call a triumphant achievement of HUD design. Diegesis at its best. So when there is a HUD needed or just wanted, it should be so reduced to necessities and stylized to fit in the game world that it's hard to ignore or easy to check off. Look at the display of Demon Souls. It's clean, it's neat, and it's totally out of line. If you don't want to blend it in, at least make it fit in. Where is the gothic medieval fantasy? I'll tell you. In the original. It was just fine. But the style isn't even the worst part of the remaster, for it could have also been stripped down from the original. At least drop the slots for weapons and shields. They can be easily seen on the character or checked from the inventory. All we really need is health, stamina and just one slot for the items. Even though I always prefer the most clean design possible, a clear window to the fictional universe we are diving into, there is no denying that a masterfully designed HUD can make a game better. I know it can be hard for a designer to resist the urge to fill the screen with all the cool and highly stylized flashy icons and numbers, because, well, they are cool alright. But, dear developers, please design your heads-up display as an integral part of the game to define its identity, not to disrupt it. Or else clean your junk off my screen.